Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Real English from Real Life podcast.
Hi there. Welcome back for another deep dive. We're so happy you're here with us today. Last time we talked all about the 4th of July, Independence Day. We covered the fireworks, the barbecues, the history behind it. Today, we're kind of continuing that journey. We want to give you an even richer understanding of U.S. holidays. Our mission, basically, is to explore 4 more important American holidays. We'll help you understand their history, how they're celebrated, and some key vocabulary. All in clear, natural English, of course. We'll be covering New Year's Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day. Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to kick things off with the very first major holiday of the calendar year. New Year's Day. It's a day people often connect with, like fresh starts and new beginnings. For those of us trying to really grasp its significance in American culture, what's the deeper story behind January 1st?
Well, it's interesting. It isn't just that New Year's Day is always on January 1st. It's actually one of the original 4 federal holidays established way back in 1870. So it marks the beginning of the Gregorian calendar year. The way it works is interesting, too. For federal employees, if January 1st is a Saturday, they get the Friday before off. And if it's a Sunday, then the Monday after is the observed holiday. But beyond just the date, it's a moment that's pretty deeply woven into the American psyche.
Right, so it's not just a random day off. It's got real historical roots for the country. And you mentioned psyche. That sounds like more than just a calendar date. How do Americans typically celebrate it? What are those cultural threads? I know the night before is a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. The main stuff really happens the night before, which we call New Year's Eve. That's Newyerseve. That's when lots of people get together for parties, and often there are these big countdowns to midnight. A countdown, COUNTDOWN, is literally counting down those final seconds of the old year. And bang, at midnight, you often see fireworks lighting up the sky, lots of cheering. Probably the most famous event, the one everyone sees on TV, is the ball drop in Times Square, New York City. But culturally, what's really insightful is how this day sort of marks the traditional end of that whole long Christmas and holiday season. It's like a collective sigh of relief almost.
The ball drop, yeah, that's totally iconic. But is that really how most Americans celebrate? Or are there quieter ways people mark the day? And you mentioned a word earlier, resolution, RESOUTION. What's the cultural significance of that, these personal promises? How do people talk about them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the Times Square thing is huge, sure, but for most people, New Year's Eve is probably smaller gatherings. Friends, family. It's often more about personal reflection, sharing moments. And you're absolutely right about the resolution. It's super central to the whole thing. It's basically a promise or a goal you set for yourself for the coming year. Things like exercising more, or maybe learning something new, saving money. It really reflects this deep-seated American idea of self-improvement, the fresh start mentality. And honestly, even though studies show most resolutions don't last past February.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. But it's the intention that seems to matter culturally, the idea of trying to improve. When you see people, it's common to just say, Happy New Year, maybe followed by some light chat about, so any resolutions this year?
That's really interesting, focusing on the intention. It does show a certain kind of American optimism, doesn't it? It really connects the historical facts to something, human and relatable. Okay, so that's how America kicks off the year. But moving into the winter, February brings another pretty unique holiday, President's Day. That one has a really fascinating story behind its name, right?
It really does, yeah. It's observed on the 3rd Monday in February, and what's often misunderstood is its official legal name. It's actually Washington's birthday. It honors George Washington, the first U.S. president, a key founding father, Founding, Father, means one of those key leaders who helped establish the U.S. Washington's actual birthday was February 22nd, way back in 1732.
Hold on, so it's officially Washington's birthday, but everyone calls it President's Day. Why the difference? Is it just because Lincoln's birthday is also in February?
That's a really sharp question, and yes, Lincoln is definitely part of it. The big shift happened with something called the Uniform Monday Holiday Act in 1968. That act moved several federal holidays to Mondays to create more 3-day weekends.
Okay. More long weekends. Makes sense.
Exactly. But it meant Washington's birthday wouldn't fall on his actual birth date anymore. And, like you said, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12th, is also right there in February. So people, and especially businesses, just sort of started informally calling it President's Day. kind of to honor all the presidents. And that informal name really stuck, especially for retail. You see President's Day sales everywhere, but the actual federal law still says Washington's birthday. It's a bit confusing.
Huh, that's a great example of how a holiday's meaning can sort of broaden out over time. So how do people usually observe this day since it's a federal holiday?
Well, being a federal holiday means non-essential. U.S. federal government offices are closed. Federal employees get a paid day off. A day off, D-A-Y-O-F-F, just means a non-working day. A lot of banks, businesses, and definitely schools closed too. So yeah, it gives many people that welcome three-day weekend. It's probably less about big public celebrations and more just a general pause, maybe some reflection, and for many, just a nice little break.
Okay, so if I'm talking to someone around that time, maybe a coworker, what's a common thing I might hear or say?
Oh, you'll definitely hear people saying things like, enjoy your long weekend for President's Day. It's just a standard, polite way to acknowledge the holiday and the extra time off. You might also see schools doing projects on U.S. history or presidents around then. We use the word commemorate, C-O-M-M-E-M-O-R-A-T-E, which means to remember and show great respect for someone like Washington and their contributions. So it is time to sort of reflect on the nation's past and the leaders who shaped it.
It's interesting how a day is set aside to think about leadership, even if it's sort of evolved to include all presidents now. Okay, so from honoring past leaders, let's shift gears a bit. We move towards spring, and there's another holiday that's quite solemn, but also really significant culturally. Memorial Day.
Yes, Memorial Day. It's observed on the last Monday in May, and it became a federal holiday in 1968 as well. Its history is, well, quite profound. It directly honors U.S. military personnel. To honor, H-O-N-O-R, means to show great respect. And military personnel, M-I-L-I-T-A-R-Y-P-E-R-S-O-N-N-E-L, are people who serve in the armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, etc. Specifically, it honors those who fought and died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. It actually started out as a decoration day, way back after the Civil War. People would decorate the graves of soldiers who had died.
So a very serious, respectful origin focused on remembrance, but culturally it seems to signal something totally different for a lot of Americans too, doesn't it? How do those two sides fit together today?
That's such a key point. It really shows a unique blend in American culture. On one hand, you absolutely have the remembrance part. Many cities and towns hold parades. A parade, P-A-R-A-D-E, is a public procession, often with marching bands, maybe military groups, all to honor the fallen. But on the other hand, Memorial Day also very much marks the unofficial beginning of the summer season for most people.
Ah, right, the start of summer, even if it's not officially summer yet.
Exactly. So often after the parades or maybe a visit to a cemetery, families shift gears. They might have barbecues, go to the beach, have gatherings. It's this kind of bittersweet mix.
Yeah.
Solemn remembrance of sacrifice followed pretty quickly by embracing warm weather and outdoor fun. People often fly the American flag too.
It really sounds like it balances that deep respect with this collective excitement for, well, the lighter days ahead. How do people usually talk about it, like leading up to it?
Well, everyone knows it is a three-day weekend. That's a big cultural marker. So you'll definitely hear people saying, have a good Memorial Day weekend. When leaving work on Friday, you'll see ads for sales, travel deals. It's a holiday that really serves two purposes: honoring heroes and welcoming summer.
That balance between remembering and celebrating, it really captures something nuanced about American holidays. And speaking of marking the seasons, if Memorial Day is the unofficial start of summer, then Labor Day kind of signals the end, right?
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Labor Day is observed on the first Monday in September. It became a federal holiday back in 1894. Its background is all about honoring and recognizing the American labor movement. The labor movement, L-A-B-O-R-M-O-V-E-M-E-N-T, refers to those organized efforts by workers to improve their conditions and rights. So the holiday acknowledges the huge contributions of workers across the country. It's about recognizing hard work and the ongoing importance of workers' rights. That's W-O-R-K-E-R-S's R-I-G-H-T-S.
That seems vital, recognizing the contributions of everyday working people. How do Americans usually celebrate this one? Is it similar to Memorial Day weekend?
It is actually quite similar in terms of how people spend the day. It's often seen as like the last big hurrah of summer. Over half of Americans really do treat Labor Day as the unofficial end of summer.
The unofficial end of summer, right?
Yeah. So like Memorial Day, it's often a time for barbecues, maybe some last-minute travel, just enjoying those final warm days before, school starts up again or the fall routine kicks in. Now, while it is a federal holiday, it's worth mentioning that maybe around 40% of employers, especially in retail or service jobs, might still need some employees to work.
Oh, okay. So not everyone gets the day off.
Right. So while it's a day for recognition, the actual day off part isn't universal like it might be for some other holidays.
Gotcha. It sounds like a kind of bittersweet farewell to summer, but grounded in honoring the workforce. What's a typical thing you might hear someone say around Labor Day?
Well, since it's often seen as that last long weekend before things get serious again in the fall, lots of people try to squeeze in one last trip or outing. So you'll hear folks saying Happy Labor Day, or maybe enjoy the last long weekend of summer. It's just a common way to wish someone well as summer sort of winds down. And it's a good reminder, too, of the importance of workers and fair treatment.
Okay, so let's recap quickly. We've covered quite a range today. New Year's Day, kicking off the year with resolutions, President's Day in February, reflecting on leadership, even with its name confusion, then Memorial Day, that poignant mix of remembrance and the unofficial start of summer, and finally Labor Day, honoring workers as summer kind of draws to a close. So what does this all mean for you, our listener? These aren't just dates on a calendar. They really offer incredible insights into American history, its values, the rhythm of life here. They weave together these stories of national pride, memory, work, and just, how people live.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how each one, whether it's a big party or a quiet remembrance, tells a different piece of the American story. They reflect this whole mix of values that are important here. Optimism, history, respect for service, recognition of labor. And maybe this leads to a question for you to think about. How do the holidays in your own culture reflect your country's history or its core values? What stories do your holidays tell?
That's a fantastic question to mull over, and a great way to connect what you've learned today back to your own life. You've really taken another important step in understanding American culture and the English language by joining us for this deep dive. Thanks so much for learning with us today. We'll see you next time for more real-life English and another deep dive.
Want to practice these phrases? Download your free PDF guide. Link in the description and pinned comment.
Like and subscribe for more English tips.